Number 68. A volume of saline solution had a mass of 25.6 grams at 4 degrees Celsius. An equal volume of water at the same temperature had a mass of 24.5 grams. What is the density of the saline solution? So lots of information here. Make sure you read it all, and then also focus on what the question is. What is the density of the saline solution? We're talking about the saline solution. So the first sentence tells us about the saline solution. It's got a mass of 25.6 grams at 4 degrees Celsius. And we know that the equation for density, the density is equal to mass over volume. So if you're talking about the saline solution, you're told what the mass is. So already we can plug in, if this is the saline solution, we can plug in the numerator. It's 25.6 grams. And now we have to figure out what its volume is. Okay, that's where the second part comes in. It says an equal volume of water at the same temperature had a mass of 24.5 grams. So if we can figure out what the volume of the water is, that's going to be what goes here. Okay, can we figure out what the volume of the water is? So if you look at table 1.6 of the textbook, here it is. Table 1.6 lists the densities of several common substances, oxygen, urine, and one of them is water at 4 degrees Celsius, okay? The density of water at 4 degrees Celsius is 1 gram per milliliter. 1 gram per cc, okay, for water. So for water, we already know the density. And the problem gives us the mass. If we know the density and we know the mass, then we can figure out the volume of water. And once we do that, that's going to be the same as the volume of the saline solution. So let's look at another equation for the water. So let's do this aside. And let me turn that off. So aside, the density of water is going to be equal to the mass of the water divided by the volume of the water. And we can solve this equation for volume. The volume of the water is equal to the mass of the water over its density. And now we can plug in mass and density. We know the mass of the water is 24.5 grams, and its density, using what's in the table again, its density is 1.00 grams per milliliter. So let's plug that in. 1.00 grams per milliliter. And you can see the gram units canceling, and the milliliter is in the denominator of the denominator, so it comes back up. And so our units are going to be milliliters, so that works out. And then the numbers, 24.5 divided by 1 is simply 24.5. One of the nice things about water is that, if you know how many grams it is, then that's the same thing as the number of milliliters. Now, technically, this is for water at 4 degrees Celsius, but its density changes very little. When its temperature changes, its density remains roughly 1 gram per milliliter. So anyway, so now that we know the volume of the water, the problem says that's the same as the volume of the saline solution. You know, the volume of the saline solution, well, an equal volume of water. Now we figured out what that volume is. Let's plug it in up here. So here, let's substitute that in. 24.5 milliliters, and so we can do the math here. The units are, of course, going to be grams per milliliter, or I guess you could say grams per cc. In science, normally for liquids, you use grams per milliliter, but maybe in the medical field, you guys use cc more than scientists do. Okay, so anyway, we got the units. Now let's calculate this, and nope, not that. Let's break out the calculator. So 25.6 over 24.5, and that comes out to, did I do that wrong? 25.6 over 24.5, and okay, so that okay, I didn't quite get the full answer. There it is, 1.044897. So that's going to be equal to 1.04489. Lots of, digits there, but when you look at what you're calculating up here, you got 1, 2, 3 sig fig. 1, 2, 3 sig figs divided by 3 sig figs. So you're going to round it to 3 sig figs. So you're going to round it right there. So this is a 4. It's going to round down. So it's going to be 1.04 grams per milliliter. And that's the density of the saline solution. It's a little bit more dense than water. And that's usually true. When you dissolve something in water, it increases its density just a little bit.